Well, hello and welcome to Energy Mastery TV. It's Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. And thanks so much for being here to check this out. Today we're talking about one of my very favorite topics, and that is the trickster. So tell me if this sounds like you. You can type a Y in the comments below, or write in a comment, to let me know. Have you ever felt like you're just about to get there to that goal that you've been working towards, and then you start to spin out of control? Or there's something happens that just throws you off base, and then it just doesn't happen. You don't quite get there. You're back to square one, or you're like taking two more steps back. Well, I mean, if that's you, you're definitely not alone. It reminds me of a client who was working in her business, and one of the things that she was working at was building her business. She has these amazing healing gifts, and she wanted to get that out to more people. And it seemed like every time she would just start to get, some flow of clients, people would have more interest, she'd get a few more referrals, and then all of a sudden, some drama in her life would spin it out of control. And then she'd lose focus, and then all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, she starts to get back into it, and it's like starting from scratch again. And then it's this constant stop and start and stop and start. So I want to talk about that for a second, because really and truly, it's so easy to go outside of ourselves and to blame all of the circumstances and everything else, and it was their drama and all these things. But at the end of the day, there's a really important piece of this, and really important teaching that is really about taking responsibility for your energy, right? And if you really realize that everything in your world is a result of your energy, and you are 100% responsible for your energy, then the cool part about that is that puts the steering wheel in your hands, so to speak. So that gives you the ability to make adjustments and to solve when these things happen. Really puts you in the driver's seat, which is what we want, right? Who wants to be going through their life and have that be a puppet on a string? And that's not really the reality of it anyway. You're in the driver's seat. So when we talk about the trickster, right, the question then becomes okay, well, what part of you is driving? Is it that part of you, that heart-centered part of you that is really connected to your highest and best, that soul calling and all of that higher wisdom, or is it the trickster? And so many times, that's why they call it the trickster, is it sneaks in there without you really knowing. But let's break it down even a little bit further. Now think about it like this, let's imagine that throughout your life, every once in a while, maybe kind of at random or at certain times, somebody would just punch you in the arm. And not too hard, but just hard enough. And you'd be like, whoa, what was that? And it happens again and again and again. And before you know it, you're just walking around in public and flinching when people come near you. So what that is, in a really simple way, is an embedded program or an embedded trauma in your thought process. And it sinks into the subconscious so that now you're just on the defensive, right? So as soon as then you're on the defensive, well, you're just waiting to get punched again. So then it really brings up the question of, okay, well, who's doing the punching, or what are those punches? Could be an unkind word from a person. It could be, maybe a parent or a mentor or somebody like that who just always had that critical word at just the worst time, that would deflate you. And then they start to run these programs, almost like a virus in a computer running in the background. So let's bring that back into the example, right, of just getting so far towards your goal, just about to get there, and then all of a sudden your world spins out. So how that unconscious or subconscious program works is simply that. Okay, well, maybe it was a story about, you don't deserve that. Or there's so many other people around and they deserve their turn, right? You wait your turn. And so when you just about get there, it's like, how many times have you heard that in your life? How many times has that been registered in the log there to reinforce that belief? And then all of a sudden, you just get to that point, it's just about to be your turn, and then No, wait your turn, better take a step back. And that subconscious belief is what's running. So it's almost like that being punched in the arm, and you start to flinch and you start to back down. And as soon as you stop, then all of a sudden that vacuum creates a place for things to start to spin out, and you wind up back at square one. And I can't tell you, how frustrating that is. For the client that I was working with, I can't tell you, from her how frustrating that was. I just remember her talking about feeling like, oh man, no matter what I do, I'm just going to fail, And it just seems like no matter how much effort I put in, no matter how far I go, I'm always going to wind up back at square one. And that continues to reinforce that belief, and that gives that trickster even more of a foothold. As soon as that moment arises, he steps in and sends things off kilter, right? Maybe you've seen that in your own life. But what I'm here to really tell you about is that energy mastery, that's a very, very important component in energy mastery. So the example I gave was in business, right? So it's doing all the right things in business, and then all of a sudden things start to spin out. Many times people experience this in their health too. And health is a really big one where, you're just starting to feel really good. You're just starting to feel really on track. You got a really good groove going, and then all of a sudden your body gets sick. Back to square one. I remember that was one of the patterns I had with sinus infections. For the longest time, I don't know, not the most pleasant topic, but I'll share it with you because it was really personal to me, is that I'd start feeling really good, be in a good groove, and all the right things happening, and then all of a sudden I would get another sinus infection and another sinus infection. And every time, then that would really set my back, it would drain my energy, and before I know it, it's just like, and then I'm trying to get myself back restarted again, right? So, and then that expectation of, wow, just every time I'm starting to feel good, I'm going to get another sinus infection. That was the way it showed up for me. Some people get it with headaches or fatigue or all kinds of other things, but it shows up in health, and then it's the same pattern of like, wow, I'm just starting to feel really good, back to square one. Something to set you back, and that's a trickster at play. So this mental component is so incredibly important to solve, to continue to solve and resolve, so that the subconscious mind starts to have a happier and more congruent conversation with the conscious mind. And that's really where that connection to your highest and best becomes fully integrated, to where you can follow your highest calling, right? That truly heart-centered, beautiful vision for your life, and not sabotage yourself. It happens by solving those subconscious patterns. And to do it again and again and again, and continue to do that. And it's basically like untangling all those little patterns, so that eventually you really have just a totally congruent, totally centered, totally focused, totally clear approach in your life. And that lag time between decision and action, right? Between deciding to do something and then really following through. That's, if you have any self-trust, that's where the issues with self-trust, that's where those issues around doubt start to fall away, and you begin to totally trust that you can get the download, take the action, and you're right on track no matter what. That's really the power of energy mastery, is to take those things and to untangle them, and to really unwind all of the funny little games the trickster plays to keep us trapped in a problem and trapped in a cycle. So if you're finding that in your life, it really pays to have the best tools possible to be able to unwind that. Right? So if that's interesting to you, that's something that would be helpful for you in your life, then all you have to do is, I've got a webinar coming up, and I think you'll really enjoy it, because we talk about that. And all you have to do is click the link, and it'll take you through to a page to get registered for that. So I'll pop it in the comments below, and you can click on that. And if you'd like to just have a deeper conversation about that, that's great too. All you have to do is drop us a message at our Facebook page, or send a message to info@energymastery.com. And just say, hey, I'd love to talk a little bit more about this. But you can just send us a private message as well, and that'd be a really great way to do that. Really open to having those personal conversations, because that's where the magic happens. So at the end of the day, just to recap, the trickster will play those games, right? It keeps us trapped in a certain way of being, doing, and having. And everybody's trickster has their own little games and their own little nuances and rules to that keep us wound up. And it's really about untangling that step by step and layer by layer to have always more clarity, more focus, more confidence, more certainty, right? And more connection to that highest path and purpose, so that that can really unfold in a way that is much more easy and much more enjoyable, right? Much more fun and way more powerful in your life. So we'd love to support you in that, and all you have to do is drop us a private message, or if you're watching this somewhere else, send a message to info@energymastery.com, and we'll get that set up for you. So anyway, that's your Magic Monday. I'm so glad that you checked out this video. Thanks so much for being here and really untangling that so that you have much more flow in your life. I can't think of anything more magical than that. So I hope that's helpful, and I really look forward to talking with you soon. Peace.